Hey everyone, welcome back to CircuitSphere. Today we're diving into a true Apple classic, one of the most portable and powerful machines of its time, the 12-inch PowerBook G4. Whether you're an Apple collector, a vintage tech enthusiast, or just curious about the evolution of Mac notebooks, this video is for you. We're going to take a closer look into the history behind this iconic laptop, break it down piece by piece, and see how it holds up after 20 years. Plus, I'll be upgrading it with modern components and comparing its performance before and after the modifications. So, let's get started. If you're new to CircuitSphere, I explore all kinds of tech, new, old, and everything in between. So be sure to subscribe and hit the bell. And if you really want to support the channel, consider choosing one of my 3 membership options by clicking the link in the description below. The 12-inch PowerBook G4 was part of Apple's 2nd generation aluminum PowerBook lineup. First introduced in January 2003, it represents a significant shift in both design and performance from its titanium predecessor, setting the stage for future Apple notebooks. Apple's decision to transition from titanium to aluminum was driven by both aesthetics and functionality. The sleek aluminum body wasn't just a visual upgrade, but also improved durability.
For an optimal strength to weight ratio, we actually formed the main shells from an aircraft grade anodized aluminium, which is not only a really beautiful material, but it's actually extremely durable.
This design was the work of Apple's iconic designer, Jonathan Ive, and would go on to influence Apple's notebooks for years to come. One of the most notable aspects of the 12-inch PowerBook G4 was its return to the sub-notebook form factor. Since the discontinuation of the PowerBook 2400 in 1998, Apple had been missing a compact option in their lineup. The 12-inch PowerBook filled the gap, offering portability without sacrificing too much power. The 12-inch model ran on a PowerPC G4 processor starting at 867 MHz and was equipped to handle macOS X exclusively, unlike its titanium predecessor, which could also boot into macOS 9. This made it one of the most modern and efficient laptops of its time. With its matching aluminum keyboard and compact form factor, the 12-inch PowerBook G4 quickly became one of the most desirable notebooks on the market. Its design laid the groundwork for what would eventually evolve into the MacBook line, solidifying its place in Apple's design history. Despite being discontinued in May 2006, the 12-inch PowerBook G4 remains a beloved piece of tech history. Its design, portability, and power encapsulate the innovation Apple was known for, making it a sought-after collector's item even today. The example I have here today is a 1.33 GHz G4 PowerBook that was introduced in April 2004. It was originally sold with 256 megabytes of RAM, but somewhere along its 20-year journey, someone upgraded it to the 1.25 gigabyte maximum. There have also been a couple of other odd modifications to this computer. It originally came with an 8X combo drive DVD CD-RW. However, it currently has just a CD-RW drive installed. I'm thinking that at some point the DVD drive went bad, and this drive was either the only available option for a quick fix or the cheapest replacement. This PowerBook is also missing its Wi-Fi adapter. It still has the original 60 gigabyte hard drive, and this model came equipped with an NVIDIA GeForce FX Go 5200 with 64 megabytes of VRAM, which was a pretty decent graphics card for 2004. I'm starting the teardown by taking the airport card and SuperDrive out of the donor 15-inch PowerBook G4. Getting to the airport card is easy. Just pop off the battery, and there's a little compartment that you flip open. Inside is the airport card. All you have to do is grab the plastic pull tab, disconnect the Wi-Fi cable, and then slide it out. To remove the SuperDrive, I had to take the top case off. Once the top case is off, the SuperDrive is visible on the bottom right. The hard drive and SuperDrive come out easily. This is not the case when switching over to the 12-inch PowerBook. Now that I have the SuperDrive out, I want to take it apart and give the internals a blast of compressed air to clear out all the dust. Now I can begin working on the 12-inch PowerBook G4, which is officially my least favorite vintage Mac to work on. Getting the outer case apart is fairly easy, and there are a lot of tutorials available with step-by-step instructions. For this video, I'll go ahead and do a teardown montage. Now that I have the top case off, I can see what I'm up against. The terrible thing about 12-inch PowerBook G4 is that in order to upgrade the drive to a SuperDrive, you have to remove everything, including the logic board. This was an absolute pain and very time-consuming. I wouldn't recommend this upgrade unless you absolutely need a DVD drive. Now that I have the logic board out, I have access to the drive and can easily pull it out. I need to transfer the brackets from the drive to the SuperDrive. Before beginning reassembly, I'm going to clean out the case from 20 years of dust and dirt using my little vacuum. Then spray everything down with compressed air. Before reassembling the computer, I also need to address the 20-year-old thermal paste. Removing the dried up paste was a bit of a challenge. But with some isopropyl alcohol and some Q-tips, I was able to get it all removed. After getting it mostly back together, I'm going to install the NVMe drive. It's pretty simple. Just pull out the adapter, take it apart, slide the drive in, and reassemble. Once it's all put together, you can reinstall the brackets from the original hard drive and place it into the PowerBook. Then I'll finish reassembling it and reinstall macOS 10.5. Now that it's powered back on, we can check if the upgrades have been recognized. And there we have it. The computer is recognizing the SuperDrive and the 120 gigabyte NVMe drive. Before diving into the benchmarks, I'm going to give it a full cleaning, as the exterior is quite dirty. Now to go over the benchmarks. Feel free to pause the video if you want to dive into the specifics. The total score for the original benchmarks was 5,136.31. After the upgrades, the Geekbench score came in very close to the original, but the Xbench score increased thanks to the SSD upgrade. The disk test portion of Xbench shows a 517.9% increase in disk score, which led to the overall Xbench score rising from 40.04 to 48.29. Our new total benchmark score is 5,291.5, which is a 3% overall increase. Based on the benchmarks, compared to other machines I've tested, this PowerBook ranks 4th behind the PowerMac G5 and iMac G5, but ahead of the PowerMac Mirror Door Drive 1 GHz and the 2005 Mac Mini G4. Now onto the SphereScore. If you're new to my videos, I'll link to a video above that explains the SphereScore. Starting with build quality, this PowerBook G4 scores 4 out of 5. Apple's switch from titanium to aluminum proved to be a huge leap in long-term reliability, with my 20-year-old example still holding up extremely well. The PowerBook scores 4 out of 5 in aesthetic and design. The use of aluminum provided an optimal weight-to-strength ratio, which remains in use today on MacBooks. For expandability and upgrade potential, this PowerBook scores a 1 out of 5. It's one of the hardest PowerBooks to work on, with upgrades limited to pretty much the RAM and hard drive. It scores a 4 out of 5 for historical significance, largely due to its aluminum construction, which lives on in today's MacBooks. For legacy and collector value, it scores 2 out of 5. It's a neat computer that many find interesting, but I suppose the 17-inch PowerBook would rate higher in this category, as it's more desired by collectors. This gives us a total SphereScore of 15 out of 25. Share your thoughts in the comments below. Do you agree with my SphereScore? What do you think of the 12-inch PowerBook G4? So after spending time with the 12-inch PowerBook G4 and putting it through its paces, I have to say, this little machine still holds a special place in Apple's history. While the upgrades improved performance slightly, the real magic of this PowerBook lies in its design and portability, factors that were ahead of their time and influenced the MacBook line for years to come. Sure, it's not the easiest Mac to work on, But for collectors and tech enthusiasts like me, it's definitely a rewarding challenge. If you've got one of these tucked away, it might be worth bringing it back to life, even if it's just for nostalgia. What do you think? Do you have any memories with the 12-inch PowerBook G4? Or would you like to tackle a similar project? Let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to CircuitSphere for more deep dives into vintage tech and modern gadgets. I've got plenty more coming up, so stay tuned. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.